All these questions that were raised before he came into this world, so that those questions, when you get enough of those detailed questions, it begins to narrow down the possibilities. Who is the one that was born in Bethlehem? That was born at a time, as Daniel indicates here, it would be after 483 years after the decree to rebuild Jerusalem. By the way, that's the time when Christ was actually riding into Jerusalem on the donkey. So you have this kind of specificity. Why would he suffer for us? But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement or punishment we deserved was upon him. With his scourging, his stripes, we are healed. That's written again, 700 BC. That's in chapter Isaiah 52. Go back 300 years before that, and you have the form of execution that wasn't even invented yet.
Yeah.
Psalm 22, verse 16. You're aware of that? Where he says, but the dogs have accompanied me, the assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. They pierced my hands, my feet. I may tell on my bones, they look, they stare at me, they part my garments among them and cast lots for my vesture. Now you're going to verse 18. Verse 16 through 18 gives you the type of execution that would apply to the Messiah. Now you got before that form of execution even existed. That's awesome. So you're familiar with that?
Yeah, I actually did a presentation in my class at my public high school about like evolution and creation. It was a debate. So
Good.
On the side of creation.
So there you go. So now you can actually just as clearly take that kind of evidence. I'm so glad you did that. Because take the stronghold down, but then it leads you to the other side. Say now that we know that supreme intelligence had to be the only plausible answer for how we got a quaternary triplet code we call DNA, and all the other ingenious devices that are information rich. How do we know that the supreme intelligence who wrote that put his supernatural hand into our world, said, here I am.
Yeah.
This is how.
Yeah.
By the history book he wrote in advance. I took this to my secular classroom as well. I got my teaching degree. And so, but this is one of the things I said, okay, class, these are established historical events, the piercing of the hands and feet. However, they're written down in advance before they happen. Class, let's come up with some conservative numbers. And so we were doing these really conservative numbers. They should have been bigger, but everyone said, okay, we'll go for that. Secular classroom, I said, when you take these 17 prophecies, who has time for 353, right? But let's just take some key ones here. And you times these together here, these simple, low probability when you look at the kind of chance that would be involved in someone guessing these things right. Kind of like you guessing right now, the president 50 years from now, where's he going to be born? Crickets. Yeah. Nobody can do it. Oh yeah, well people could do that. Oh really? Then you just give them a couple of tries, and they can't do it. Okay, so now class, we're on board. Okay, what are the chances they could have got those right? They got their calculators, they multiplied these together, they came up with 1 in 4.8 times 10 to the 32nd power. That's a low number. It should be higher, but we're just staying with that. But that number represents the amount of grains of sand that you could fill the entire Milky Way. That's 100,000 light years of space. You and I are in a rocket ship. We want to get to the other side, and we're going to mark 1 grain of sand. So you're going to go out there in the middle of there. But you want to get to the other side. If you're in a spaceship going 186,000 miles per second, how long will it take to get to the other side? 100,000 years. It's a lot of time, a lot of sand, right? Yeah. So class, secular classroom, if you have any doubt that this was divinely ordered, because the only other alternative would be chance. Yeah. But you see where the odds go. These are the odds against you if you have dismissed the claims of Christ. Yeah. I'm in a secular classroom. They clapped. I got an A on the project. But at the same time, you're able to take this not only from the science side, but to the historical reality that Christ came into this world and he wrote his history, he wrote his profile, who, what, where, why, and how before he came into this world. Yeah. What makes this relevant is that when you get, and why we're doing it this way, as you get past the science, you go, okay, that can only be explained by the supreme intelligence of God. This can only be explained by the promise-keeping God who makes and keeps his promises at what percentage? That would be 100%, right? Yeah. It becomes relevant when we ask the next question, which is, Is God making you a promise? He is. Here's the simple, and maybe you've heard this before, where he says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man or any person hear my voice and open the door, I will what? I'll come in. See, that's what makes it relevant. If this is all just like historical or scientific, oh, that was a very interesting conversation, and off you go. But once you make it relevant, saying the purpose of putting this kind of proof out in front of you so that you cannot logically come up with any other conclusion, but the God who created this and the God who wrote the history book is the one who came into this world 2019 years ago and fulfilled it. And this is the same one says, I'm knocking. I'm not going to intrude, but I paid for this salvation. If you'll just open the door, I'll come in, and you'll have everlasting life. You know, isn't it amazing? So for me, that was 1973, December 28th. You know, so that's what we call a testimony. There was an event. Not everybody knows the day that it happened, but my grandchildren, I got 9 grandchildren. I'm trying, when they actually make that decision, I'm saying, Chloe, that was on your birthday when you were 4 years old. Remember that. That was April 18th. And so mine was when I was 21 years old in the Navy, just thinking, okay, I've got evidence that wonderfully points in one direction. I know this one who's kept his promise is keeping his promise to me. So.